All right. Excellent. Good morning. Sorry for the delay there, and thanks for tuning in a little bit earlier today than usual. We've got I have a meeting at noon with some of my colleagues from across the country, other mayors that are going through the type of issues that we're going through here in Scranton, and it's helpful for me to be on these calls with these other mayors to understand how they're addressing their budget deficits, how they're addressing the pandemic with limited resources, how they're helping their small businesses, and those types of things. So thanks for being flexible this morning. Somehow it is already August 21st. The month and the summer is flying by, which means that we've got a big fall ahead of us as we get back to school in some way. Try to juggle childcare, try to juggle work, try to juggle the pandemic and flu season. We are in touch with. We're trying to figure out the vaccines and how the city might be able to help make sure that it's easy and accessible for people to get flu vaccines, so that we can have the flu be less of a concern as we continue to fight COVID. So I wanted to update you all on a couple of things. Let me get to the COVID numbers first. So, okay, so we had gone a month without a COVID-related death. On the 16th, we unfortunately broke that streak. So, unfortunately, we did lose someone in the county, and hopefully we keep those numbers very, very, very low as we have this summer. So please keep wearing your mask. Please keep social distancing. I know we're having some issues up in the hill section with student parties. So probably aren't a lot of students on here right now watching. We will continue to post things about this, but it's the virus doesn't know that you're a student and that you're maybe younger. The virus can still grab onto you and stay with you, and you can infect someone else who's more at risk. So please be cognizant of that. You might hear Sloan in the background here. There are times I myself am out and I try to do everything outside. I have very, very, very few meetings inside. I try to do everything outside as much as possible. That's going to end when it gets colder, and I always have her on my mind. So when you think about going to some of these things, think about who you interact with the rest of your days. That person might have a loved one that's older and vulnerable, or have a pre-existing condition. Diabetes is a pre-existing condition that is it makes you very susceptible to this virus, or they might have a child, and it scares me to death that we don't know very much about the virus at all. We certainly don't know how it affects children, and we don't know how it affects us long term. So please think about others before you go out to a large gathering, and especially before you go somewhere where think people are going to be wearing masks. Okay, so a few cool updates that we have. All right, so September 1st, Scranton High and the Wright Center are doing a back to school vaccine clinic. So Scranton High, September 1st, 3:30 to 6 p.m. to catch up on some of the vaccines that you may have missed, that your child may have missed during the pandemic. So we'll make sure that we keep posting that, keep sharing that. So big thanks to the Wright Center and the Scranton School District. Our Scranton Together Neighborhood Initiative, today we're on Dean Street. It's Dean and Shawnee from 9 to 2. So we're about midway through the time there today. What's so cool about the initiative, I got to go to North Scranton, Williams and Wayne on Wednesday. We have not only our tent with all of the information for the city, and you can make a complaint about something, or grab your recycling bin. You can get information about licensing inspections. You can get information about rehab program, like house rehab programs, home rehab programs, home buying programs. There's a lot of information. We have a lot of programs that we have access to, that the residents of Scranton have access to help you buy a home or rehab your home. So those are the types of things that we have there. We also, though, the library is there. So we have the whole kind of it's like a mini library mobile, big bookmobile basically. So library is there with books that you can check out on the spot. And then also the Census Bureau is there. So with all the information you need to fill out the census or make sure that your neighbors have filled it out. So please go stop by again today in the plot at Dean and Shawnee. And then on Monday, we're going to be at Robinson Park on East Mountain next Wednesday, the 26th, will be at Quincy and Vine in the Hill section. And if your neighborhood has not had a pop-up city hall, as I like to call it, yet, don't worry, we're still continuing to do those through September and early fall, and we'll obviously continue those afterwards. So don't worry, we are going to get to most neighborhoods, as many as we can before the weather gets too cold. Okay, and then the Scranton Police Department has a new Pen Pal program, inviting children up to the age of 18 and any special needs individuals of any age to become a pen pal with a Scranton police officer, which is very cool. So if you want to mail a letter to the Scranton Police Department, attention Pen Pal program, 100 South Washington Avenue in Scranton, you can start that pen pal relationship with one of our great police officers. So great program. Very excited about that. So again, mail your pen pal letter to Scranton PD, attention Pen Pal program, 100 South Washington Avenue. Okay. So then the Housing Coalition Needs Survey. So Lackawanna Continuum of Care is conducting a housing needs survey to determine how to best allocate future funding. A portion of the funding will be distributed through the city's COVID CARES Act funding. We have emergency solutions grants. We have funding for that. The survey is for renters and homeowners, as well as rental property owners and managers. The more people who participate, the better results we get, and then the better we can allocate funds that we get, especially as we get these funds to help mitigate the fallout from COVID. So links to that survey are on our city website and also our social media pages. Please do fill that out. Really, anybody that's a renter or a homeowner, I should probably do that myself. I haven't done that yet. So I will make sure to do that myself as well. So I'm participating. The more data we have, the better we're able to serve you. Okay, let's see. So this week for city parks, Woodlawn Islands is our park of the week. I don't know that I've been there. I better get there this week. I don't think that's one that I've been to. I thought I'd been to all of them, but I don't recognize that one. We have 32 parks, so it's a lot. It's a lot of parks, which is great. It's a lot for us to maintain. We are working on, we talked about this last week, we're working on setting up a volunteer corps so that we can get help from neighbors to be able to kind of basically adopt a park or be ambassadors to the park to help us with that maintenance and cleaning, keeping up the parks. And then also, we're doing a survey in the city. We have hired McLean Associates to do a survey of the park so that we can prioritize which parks need what and which parks need like emergency attention versus some of the longer term things that we can plan for. Because as you know, fortunately, park upkeep is not free. We've got to do some fundraising, grant writing for some of these things. But we'll be starting up that volunteer corps. There's a lot of legal things that go into that, so it takes a little bit, and making sure that we can launch a program that can be part of the Scranton Together neighborhood initiative. It's really all one big bucket where we're all trying to come together, work better together, use our resources, and engage more people throughout the city. The parks is really the central focus of so many of our neighborhoods, and we want to make sure that those are really great places, not just for kids, but for all of us to be able to gather safely, of course. So we're trying to work on getting more and more resources to the parks. We still have passports out there, so you can pick them up at City Hall, Dick's Court. We have them outside. They're inside City Hall. You can pick them up also at Weston Field. We have those passports are fun. They're a cool thing to be able to go around the parks with your kids. It's a nice excuse to kind of have basically a roadmap with you in the car, excuse to drive the kids to someplace new or walk to someplace new, bike to someplace new. So again, Woodlawn Islands is our park of the week. So please head over there. If you take a picture, tag it with hashtag Scranton Parks 2020, and we'll share it on our social media. I think the passport's cool because this year is 2020, the next will be 2021, kind of like collect them each year. I know I made sure that I gave mine away at one point, and I did grab one for the office because I want to make sure the office has one every year in the archive there. The Lackawanna County Parks, city parks, and state parks are all open. So please continue to visit. It's going to be a beautiful weekend, I hope. And we want to make sure that everybody's taking advantage safely. So wear masks when you can and distance yourself from others when you're out there. We're doing concerts at NAOG. This is capped at 250 people, and also distance. People will have to be wearing masks. So it's Sundays at 2 p.m. And okay, so sorry. Concerts every Sunday at 2, and then now we're doing Wednesday night as well from 6:30 to 8:30. So Sundays and Wednesdays, 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Sundays, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday nights. So please take advantage of that. Nayag is such a cool spot, and while we still have this great weather, please do take advantage. Okay. So still, there was an article in the paper today about utilities assistance. So, really make sure that you're taking advantage of these programs that are out there. If you are someone that needs, there's rent relief. Those applications are due September 30th. Summer is rapidly speeding towards fall. So please know that your rent relief applications due September 30th. The emergency rental assistance, you can, it's financial assistance for people facing eviction or seeking permanent housing. So you can get more information there through Catholic Social Services. Stephanie Miller is at 207-2283. United Neighborhood Centers, 343-8835. Or the Catherine McCauley Center, 342-1342. And we'll repost those numbers. I know that was quick, but do make sure that you're taking advantage of these. That rent relief program is through LackawannaCounty.org. So go to the county website. Legal services. So I think in a couple weeks, we'll have Sylvia Hahn from Lackawanna Pro Bono, which is exciting, to help talk about more free legal aid. But in the meantime, remember that there's free civil legal aid to resolve tenant landlord issues. You can call North Penn Legal Services. That's 877-953-4250. And then on the homeowners front, same, there's information out there for you through Pennsylvania Housing Finance Authority, agency rather, PHFA, 1-855-U, letter U, R home. So that's a hard one to say out loud, 1-855-U, R-A-R-E, home. I don't know if I'm not sure that number could possibly be right. So we'll make sure that's right, because that looks like it has too many letters. PHFA. So we'll get that for you. But there is mortgage assistance help for you there. There's a foreclosure intervention as well. There's no income requirements on foreclosure intervention. NeighborWorks is key here, 558-2490. And legal services, United Neighborhood Centers, 343-8855. So I'm getting an update here on the PHFA number. So just 1 second there. Okay, so we'll get back to that. On the food front, St. Francis of Assisi, again, now doing midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 to 6, in addition to their 11 a.m. to noon meals, which is really tremendous. So I very much appreciate that. Friends of the Poor's next distributions next Wednesday, August 26th. That is at Scraton High School. Then Friends of the Poor Pantries, Jackson and Valley View Terraces, Monday through Friday, 9 to noon. Let me see. I haven't gotten that yet. Okay. The census. I know we talk about it all the time. I'm very, very, very concerned. We are 10% behind the state, and the state's only at 66%. We're putting together the budget for 2021. If we have to build a budget that is without the if we're building a budget now trying to serve everyone in Scranton, if we aren't counting everyone in Scranton, I can't build a budget to help everyone in Scranton. And the most important thing is I can't get the federal money that we need to support everyone in Scranton if we don't know who's here. So please, 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 if you know anyone you don't think has answered the census, it is so important. It's not just like a favor for me because I keep harping at it. This is for money so that we have the amount of money that we need to be able to provide services. September 30th is the deadline. It is only 6 weeks away. I feel like that's 5.5 weeks away. Please, my2020census.gov. It's just so vitally important for all of us. So please do that. Anybody that you know that might not be doing it, please let me know. Or please go to it. Let me know too if you have any ideas of how we can do this better. The COVID has not been our friend. On Snapchat,
for it.
Oh.
Just swipe up and see the census.
Okay. Snapchat. See, my nanny here is helping me in live time. Thank you, Mia. Mia would be on Snapchat. I'm not on Snapchat, but fantastic. It's on Snapchat. You can take the census. So even Snapchat is getting on board. So please, 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 please respond to that census. And thank you, Mia. This week we celebrated 100 years of women having the vote. Can you believe that we didn't have the vote ever? It's insane that it's only been 100 years. We were able to do a couple fun things on Tuesday to celebrate that. The biggest thing is to not let all of those efforts go to waste. So it's really been, the vote didn't come in 1 year. It didn't come just 100 years ago. Women were fighting for this for probably a century before that, right? It's just, it's hard to believe that the type of society that came before us not that long ago. But we always have to keep fighting for everyone to have equal footing and equal voice. That remains true today. So please don't let all the efforts that came before us, not just for women, but for people of color, for everyone, don't let that go to waste. So make sure that you're voting. If you're eligible, make sure you're registered to vote. The deadline is October 19th. You can go to votespa.com. votespa.com to register to vote or to grab your mail-in ballot application. So it's really important that we don't let these efforts go to waste. There's so many people out there in the world who don't have a vote and would love to be able to have the democracy and the freedom that we have in this country. So please think about that. Think about what it would feel like not to have it. It's something that I think some people take for granted. They're like, oh, we have the vote, I could vote or not. No, you really need to go do it. Go actually do it. Make sure that your voice is heard, and make sure that the country and the state and the city are governed by who the people really think should be governing. It's really important that you are an active part of that process. The biggest thing that I have trouble with during campaign season when I'm knocking on doors is when people say, well, my vote doesn't count, look at the numbers. And that's just not true. It's hard to understand how in an election, even in a city election with 16,000 people voting, I know maybe it seems like, oh, my vote doesn't count. Well, it really does count. And we have had in very recent history, in 2017 in Virginia, the entire legislature hinged on one vote. And it ended up that this particular vote meant the difference between a Democrat or a Republican legislature, and it tipped the entire scale of a state legislature. So your vote really does count. Please know that. Please feel invested. My job as mayor every single day is to show you that government can do good things and can be there for you, and we are there for you. So I'm trying to do my part to show you what government can be. Please do your part by voting and making sure your voice is heard. Okay, on that note, let's see. All right, the actual number for PHFA, which is much more clear. Thank you, team. 1-855-827-3466. So that is mortgage assistance help. You need help with your mortgage. Your eligibility is 100% household area median income or below, unemployed, or 30% reduction in income since March 1st. Mortgages and forbearance are not eligible, so that's important. But mortgage assistance through the CARES Act, 1-855-827-3466. Good job, team. Okay. All right, and a couple things. The Scranton PD non-emergency line comes up a lot, 570-348-4141. So if you have a complaint or a non-emergency issue that you think the police should know about, please call our non-emergency line at 348-4141. That's a way for us to not clog up the 911 line, but still be able to take down things and check things out that might be amiss but are not of immediate urgency. The mental health, I can't go on one of these without talking about the need to raise your hand if you need help. There's no shame in it. If you need help, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Line, 1-800-273-8255, or If you don't feel like talking, you can text. You text TALK, TALK, to 741-741. Okay. All right, Q&A. Let's do it. Let's see. Lots of questions. This is great. Okay. Brian, Brian is asking, with so many apartments rented out downtown, the only places to get groceries is Redner's. Can the city provide another option? I know that this is an issue, Brian, because I work downtown and I would love there to be a grocery. I have an idea that would go a long way, go along with the city's history. The New Jersey Central building at the end of Lackawanna Ave would be a great place for an indoor market and also have a flea market. I would love to see a big market downtown. That would be fantastic. Yes, Brian, if you know anybody who would be able to put that in, that would be great. In the meantime, though, I know that Geisinger, Senator Blake's office, others have been looking at ways that we could figure out some sort of public-private partnership to meet the it's technically not a food desert downtown. Part of Southside is actually a food desert, and we need to find some solutions for that. So we definitely need to address that both for downtown and Southside. And I think there are some really interesting examples of where this has worked in other places. Something that was high on the list pre-COVID and has just hasn't met the priorities list since then, but it's definitely on there. And I really appreciate you thinking about that, because it's part of a lot of the places I lived before I came back to Scranton had really cool marketplaces that were a great mix, not just of a place so you could get groceries, but also you could go and grab takeout for lunch or grab takeout for dinner. There's lots of really cool spots like that. So I feel you on the need for something downtown, and I would love to see that happen. And we'll try to get those conversations back up and running. Okay, Jason is asking, any chance of a pop-up city hall in Fellows Park in West Scranton? So we will be doing more of these pop-up city halls throughout the city, but definitely West Scranton. So we started out in West Scranton. We'll be circling back. I think probably the end of September, we should be able to have one in West Scranton. My team will take down that suggestion and put it in the mix. But yeah, we're trying to utilize our parks in that way. Eileen asks, what would you like a citizens review board to look like and function as? How can we get one? And what approaches do you favor? How is our local government going to show up for us with the Citizens Review Board? So Citizens Review Board is something that we absolutely want to do, and it's something that we want to budget for in our new budget in 2021. It's important that we do it right from the beginning, which means we have to have funding for it. It needs to include funding for an attorney, for example, to be able to work it. We're looking at the best makeup of a board. If you have suggestions of other cities that are doing it in a way that you think is effective, please let us know. Scranton 311 email is a great way to do that. What we don't want to do is put something together that is not going to work, and it doesn't have the funding it needs, or doesn't have the right method of getting the right people on it. So we are looking for what that looks like this fall is really going to be the time that we're looking at that. We are going to fund it in the new budget so that hopefully we can start something in 2021. From the beginning, Chief Graziano and I have said what we don't want to do is we've got, as we should, protests and the social justice at the forefront of our conversation. What we don't want to do is just respond with something and paper over something with some committee that doesn't mean anything. So we want to do it right the first time. If you have any examples, please let us know what you think would be good, what cities you think are doing it the right way. Okay, so Sharon is asking, what plans do you have to address the noticeable increase in litter? So this has been something that we already knew was a problem, but certainly in our neighborhood initiative, we get a lot of complaints about that. So we're trying to figure out how we can do kind of anti-litter campaign. DPW works hard to take care of taking care of more of the problems, and we've got a couple folks working on we're doing an inventory of the garbage cans that we have in the city. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that we do in the city, right? Like there's no inventory of the garbage cans. So we're starting with the inventory of the garbage cans looks like, and then we want to see where we can install more of those, and then do, kind of a public service education campaign around it. That does take some time and resources, but it's definitely on our mind. And that garbage can piece, I think, is going to be key. So we will be setting something up there, but I know it's a huge problem. I don't understand it. I remember anti-littering campaigns when I was a kid. I guess I foolishly thought that we took care of that problem, but it is an issue. And so we'll try to work on that. Part of why we're out in these neighborhoods is to see not just the litter, but folks who aren't taking care of the garbage in their yards or in front of their homes. We're trying to make sure that we're tracking those and then getting those cleaned up and getting those citations to, if people are repeat offenders. They that's what we have those citations for. Those quality of life tickets rather. So kind of in conjunction with that, Stephen is asking, where do I report blight? So reporting blight, I think that I think that we now have, after last week, there should be LIPS inspections complaint form online, but if you want to just email Scraton 311, that's the easiest way right now to report it. We are inventorying all of the blighted properties through the city to make sure we know where everything is, make sure that we're doing what we can. So what we've been talking about, as you know, is re-establishing all of our processes, bringing economic development and licensing inspections, everybody, legal department, everybody together so that we're working off of the same information and everything is being done and tracked and completed in a methodical way, an efficient way. So Scranton 311 at scrantonpa.gov for your complaint about a blighted property. Hopefully, as we've been working on this in the months, hopefully that property is already on there. That's what my hope is. But if not, then that's what we're doing this for, right? We need information from everyone in the city to help us with the problem and help us get it in a situation where we can be out there. We can cite if we need to. We can get something on a demolition list if it needs to be, or start that demolition process, which is a legal process that takes some time, but we need to know where these properties are. So thank you. Okay, so Chris is asking, how come the roads are not getting done? So we do have some paving going on. There definitely is a paving project going on. It's very expensive to do streets. We have over 400 miles, if not 500 miles of streets in the city. It's a lot. We do have some paving going on. Some paving, the process got held up with COVID and the shutdown there, and we would be able to maybe pave this fall, but we determined that it would be more expensive than it should be for the city to do paving projects. So some of that paving that we were hoping to do this year will happen in the spring. COVID, again, not our friend, has held some of that up, but it's important too that we make sure that when we are doing paving, that everything is being paved in a way that like the priority streets should go first. And we're also trying to make sure that the list of paving makes the most sense for the most people. On fire chief. So when are you going to hire a new fire chief? Tracy, there are interviews happening. I think I'm not involved in these rounds of interviews. I think it's this week or maybe next week that those interviews started. So that's in process. And then Stanley is asking, can you still vote in person? Yes, the answer is yes. The polling locations, I think there'll probably still be fewer or a little bit changed, adjusted since like they were in the primary with COVID. So Lackawanna County Bureau of Elections will have, Board of Elections rather, will have that list, but you absolutely can still vote in person. We're just really hoping that people take advantage of the mail-in voting so that you don't have to worry about waiting in line with a lot of different people. You're not worried about being inside. If you have a vulnerability to COVID, you're not worried about not getting to the polls for in maybe some unrelated reason, or maybe you have the flu or something. So mail-in voting really increases people's access to voting to make sure that they can get that vote in. But yes, you can still vote in person. Okie dokie. Let's see. Yep. And Chris, I hear you. I drive on streets every day that I would like to just pave tomorrow. It's hard. It's hard. We've got a lot of paving to do and not a lot of money to do it with. So it's unbelievable how expensive it is to pave. You'd think that it wouldn't be quite so crazy, but it is. So we will be getting to as much paving as we possibly can in 2021. Again, we still are doing some here in 2020, and we're also doing a street signs. We do have the prioritization for the street signs, so we are starting to go through and replace street signs, not just stop signs, but the actual street name signs themselves. So we have that in process, and I'm really excited about that. There's so many missing signs, so many signs that you just can't see. They don't have the proper reflective lettering, and it's so dangerous. It really is so dangerous. So in addition to the paving, we've got the street signs piece there. And there's addition to littering, I am just appalled at how many people speed in these neighborhoods with kids around. That happens in my own neighborhood here. And I really don't, I think we need a littering and a speeding campaign, because I don't understand why it's fun to endanger the lives of people in your neighborhood, especially kids who might, run after a ball or be on their bike or something. The speed with which people drive is pretty appalling. So we've got a lot of things to clean up, and a lot of this stuff is, it's education and it's enforcement. It's tough to, catch everybody throwing a wrapper on the ground, and it's tough to enforce, have police patrols, out so much trying to catch speeders. There's always going to be things that we need help with from people, and part of that is all of you that are helping to identify these things, and then we figure out how we might be able to make solutions going forward. Okay, I got a couple more questions. Okay, so Judy, if you have photos of dangerous properties that you'd like to flag, you can send them to Scranton 311 at scrantonpa.gov. I'd ask that you put the location in if you can make the name of the file the location, that's really helpful to us, so we can know exactly where it is. Sometimes we get photos, but we don't know where that location is. So Scranton 311 at scrantonpa.gov. And then Lisa is asking, who should I contact for a street light? I would say the same, Scranton 311 at scrantonpa.gov. And that's something that we can forward on to DPW and have them take a look. So DPW is doing a great job of prioritizing too. There's a lot that needs fixing, a lot that needs replacing. And the new director is doing a great job of prioritizing those things. So, we might not be able to respond immediately, but those things are on the list. Things like, a stop sign that's fallen down is always gonna come before some of the stuff that's not immediately urgent, which is part of the trick of governing, right? You're always going to have the emergencies. So how do we put the resources in place to be able to do the emergencies and the long term? So that's something that we're working hard with a very lean team at the city. We're working on the budget to, now that we've been in office for 7 months, looking at the budget and figuring out what adjustments can we make so that we make sure that we're allocating resources with the clear goal of providing services. So that's something I'll be working on in the coming weeks. I'm excited for it, actually, really excited about the budget process, which I know sounds nerdy, but I'm kind of a nerd, so, and that's okay. Okay. Thank you all so much. I really, again, appreciate all of these town halls that we do and all of the interaction on Facebook. I'm going to take a week off next week. It's my birthday next Thursday. It's a big one, and a real big one. And I'm going to try to take a couple days and be able to just take a little bit of a breather. But if something pops up, of course, we'll be right back on here. If there's something that's urgent that we need to talk about, we'll absolutely be here. And the team, of course, will be around responding to the email and on the phone and on Facebook. and our social media. So thank you to all of you who are on here. Thank you to all of the city employees who are just gritting it out through a really, really tough time. All of our first responders, our sanitation workers, the healthcare professionals that are working in our hospitals and in our medical facilities, all the grocery store employees, the restaurant employees, the delivery workers, the small business owners who are searching for answers and trying to understand how they might be able to keep their businesses alive. We're looking for resources too, and trying to help. It's a really tough time for, I think all of us. I think 2020 is just, this is tough, and well, summer's going fast. It's far from over, and we've got a long way to go. So any solutions that you think of, anything that you see in the news about a citizens review board that you think is a good process, let us know. We can't do this by ourselves, and that's important for us to acknowledge at every step of the way. We don't have all the answers. I'm never going to pretend to have all the answers. I need you all out there along with me, trying to figure out how we move forward. So thank you. Have a good weekend and a good week next week, and I'll see you in September.